And yes, that was the now U.S. President-elect Donald Trump coming back to finish his 4-year term, something that a lot of people thought was not possible, but he certainly made it so, winning 301 Electoral College, also making it with 73 million votes in the popular vote, winning Congress, winning the House or Senate. Like, he has truly been remarkable in this election, something a lot of people didn't bet well on him. Now, it's interesting to see the stance he took, the policies he pushed as against Kamala Harris. But a lot of similarities can be seen in the U.S. election versus the Ghana election. Reason being, both we had vice presidents here in Ghana, vice president in the U.S., former president in the U.S., former president here in Ghana. Now, since we've seen this sort of landslide victory, doesn't mean the same in Ghana. Well, let's get into the conversation now. Of course, joining me to speak all about it, I have with me Chris Atadeka. He's a political marketing strategist. I have counsel Karen Isifo, and finally Miss Darko as well with me. She's a communications specialist. Now, I'll start with you, Chris. As a political marketing strategist, what did the Democrats do wrong?
It has always been one thing from election 2016 to present election 2024 in the U.S. The conversation has always been about the economy. Okay, I mean, when I refer to the Pew's Research Center, in 2016, the top 5 issues discussed were the economy in order of importance. So economy first, terrorism second, foreign policy third, healthcare fourth, and gun policy fifth. In 2020, the issues were economy first, healthcare, Supreme Court appointments, coronavirus outbreak, and violent crimes. 2024, same thing, economy, healthcare, Supreme Court appointments, foreign policy, and violent crimes.
Wow.
So you realize that the Republicans were very hard on speaking about the economy, the inflation. And you see, these are issues you cannot really fabricate. The point is, if the economy is doing well, people will feel it.
Yes.
You don't even have to talk about it. You cannot tell people the economy is doing well and they feeling it in their pockets. Does not reflect what you're saying. So the Republicans were very hard on the economy. They spoke to the issues that the American people were facing. I mean, the Democrats spoke about a lot of issues as well. I think their focus was very much telling the people, it was like a fear-mongering strategy, as opposed to speaking to their policies, telling people that it is doomed when Donald Trump is coming back as president. You don't want him to bring back, the issues, racial discrimination against people with different sexual orientation, all these conversations. Trump was hard on. He was talking about how the U.S. was spending a lot of money sponsoring, wars, the Ukraine war and other wars across the world. They had problems with how he was, President Biden was also in office, but not also in office, because there were concerns about his health. I feel that, as a strategist, they should have, went in. They should have organized a convention way earlier. You cannot wait 3 months to an election, 4 months to an election, and then you now have to
switch and bring someone completely
different. Someone completely. If that was the strategy of the Democrats, they should have elected or brought up Kamala Harris way earlier, so that she's properly marketed to the people, and then she can properly decouple herself from the administration, because she obviously inherited the problems of the Biden administration. The criticisms, people felt that Biden was making a lot of decisions that does not come from someone who is competent. And people had a lot of issues about his health concerns. So people felt that he wasn't even in the leadership role others who were behind were the ones controlling
The issues.
the issues, you know. So Kamala suffered. It's unfortunate for me. I feel that it's very unfortunate. She suffered a lot of the hate that was supposed to be channeled to, you know, Joe Biden.
Right, and she rather had to became bear the brunt of that.
Of that.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Now let me come to you, counsel. Looking at the similarities, and well, firstly, and I'm sure as you as well, we're all hoping it will be the first time a female president will be named the U.S. president, and it will be the second time the Democrats have floated a woman, and the second time that she's not gotten the nod. Would you assume that the U.S. is not ready for a female president?
In as much as I'm such a big supporter of women's rights and wrongs, I would say that, yeah, Kamala was my top pick because, of course, she's a woman. I'm always championing those rights. And aside that, she was the most qualified. She
Honestly.
had been to all the arms of government.
Yes.
But with all my bias, I can't sit here and say that it would be fair to say that they are not ready for a black president. I mean, if you are the better candidate,
Why not?
yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I think, like Chris said, they ignored quite a lot of things. You would have progressive people on my timeline from the US who were always complaining about things, the economy, of course, complaining about the war, especially in Gaza. People did not support that. And again, the tone deafness.
Yes,
They
true.
just weren't listening. So I can't sit here and say that because she was a woman, she should. But yeah, definitely soon we will catch up.
Hopefully. Perhaps maybe second time will be a charm for Kamala. But I do agree that a lot of the issues that people focused on was not what was being focused on by the Democrats. Economy being something that's been big here in Ghana. Now, bringing it down to the local perspective. We saw in the beginning a bit of a narrative with the MPP creating similarities with Kamala and the Democrats because it was vice president, both trying to weave a compelling story that even though we are in government, we will be a different kind of government. In fact, even I saw some MPP communicators even with the sloganing of Kamala versus the vice president and how there were so much similarities until she lost. Then it became a thing of it's the elephant here, the elephant there. Go Republicans, go MPP. Don't worry about the narrative. Even we had some members on the outskirts of government who we sort of attribute to government, like Gabby, who was creating a lot of similarities with the narrative of Kamala. Your views on how similar the situation is, and if there's anything to be seen about the Ghana context, or is there any similarities there? Are we also likely to go in that direction?
I would say yes and no. Yes, because I think we cannot tell that Kamala Harris became complacent. I am a big fan of Kamala Harris. Like, I love her to bits. And I loved the fact that she was obviously somebody that actually had the potential as compared to Donald Trump,
Absolutely.
who is a convicted felon. Yeah, so I was actually rooting for her. And I think, like I said, yes and no, because she became complacent at some point. She felt that, oh, we are already in power. If I'm able to tell the people that these are the things that we'll be doing. And the only unfortunate thing is she was speaking to, in my opinion, she was speaking to the minority groups. These people do not control the USA. It's the same with the MPP. That is what I see. They are talking about free SHS. They are talking about so many things which are not the things that the average Ghanaian needs. So it's like you're not talking to the majority group. You're talking to the minority. So if you're talking to the minority, what makes you think that you would win? So I think the Kamala Harris situation should be able to inform the MPP on how to develop a comprehensive communication strategy that would speak to issues that Ghanaians are really facing. That is, if they really want to retain the power that they have come 2025.
Now, do you think, in your perspective, is the MPP communicating to the people of Ghana? And is the NDC communicating to the people of Ghana? Who's communicating better, and how can they make it better?
In my opinion, I think the NDC is communicating to the people of Ghana. because most of the time when you engage the MPP people, they tell you that maybe you are not experiencing or you are not seeing the change that has happened. But of course, if there were positive change, I would have felt it, I would have seen it. So if people are complaining, protesting, doing so many things, why do you think they are doing those things? Those are the things that I think the MPP should be addressing. Those are the things that they should be communicating to us, that when we come to power, or if you will help us to retain this power that we have, these are our plans for the next 4 years. But it's like it's now a banter between MPP and NDC on the grounds of this person came and we didn't see much from the person or of the person. So why do you want to give the person another chance? It's the same thing that happened with the Kamala Harris and Donald Trump situation. A lot of people felt that, because Donald Trump was there some time back and he didn't really perform, and that was why they took him out of power, he does not deserve a chance. But of course, how are you communicating? So I think the NDC is communicating to the Ghanaians because they are speaking about the economy. We can obviously tell the dollar rate. It's now 17.2. Imagine. 17. But when the NDC was on power, it was about 3 cedis, 60 pesos. So these are clear evidence. These are things that you can speak to. But it's like most of the time, the MPP are thinking that they have done so much. Yes, you may have done so much, but does it really reflect
the everyday life
of the people? So those are the things that they should, if you want to make promises, promise me that you are going to make my life better in the next 4 years. But if you come talking about the things you have done, I do not see the effects on my life, so obviously I'll vote you out.
Chris, I'll be coming to you on the Ghanaian perspective very shortly, but we're going to go on a quick break. When we come back, getting into a bit more right here on the show about the U.S. elections and the similarities to Ghana. Now, coming back to our political marketing strategist, Chris Atadeka, who was asking the question before we went on the break. In like 30 seconds, what do you think this bodes for Ghana? There's a lot of similarities. Can we think that that's going to be our future soon?
Definitely. A lot of the polls that have come out to, show what is going to look like by December 8th, have shown that the NDC is winning the election. And it's for several reasons. The point is that there's some level of fatigue, seeing the same people over and over speaking in the news, the ministers. So naturally, people have seen one particular party for 8 years. And it also comes with criticisms. So that whole concept of Mukwaya ni Mukwaba, somebody should go for another person to come is going to set in. Aside that, there are existent issues, particularly with the economy, that we have not seen the MPP addressed. The vice president now talks about digitalization and everything he's doing. I mean, he's always launching apps, and now they've gone back to free SHS, which has been their message since 2008. So the question is, what is something new that you are bringing on board, and how is the NDC also speaking to the issues of the people, issues of unemployment, issues of corruption? I particularly, I was very much interested in seeing an MPP government after 2016, an MPP government that would hold the NDC very much accountable. Honestly, I wouldn't lie to you, I was expecting that by now, ex-president John Mahama will be in jail. Because the kind of
rhetoric that was created,
the kind of allegations leveled against him in terms of corruption in 2016, and I joined. I was on social media also blasting John Mahama, corrupt, this, and seriously, I'm surprised that I do not see that happening.
The word incompetence took a whole new definition in the dictionary.
And people just kept. So the point is, you've not been able to, pinpoint one thing to this man to, how many
people have been put in for causing financial loss?
Exactly. Yeah. You've not been able to do that. And you keep,
creating more scandals.
Vindicating him with your corruption scandals. There has been more corruption in this government as compared to his time.
Well,
you can even look at one of the issues, Galamsey. You had a whole member of parliament for the MPP side, stand in Parliament to say that you have done more galamsey than we have done. There are issues. These things are issues people are talking about.
Right.
The contaminated water is killing people. And when we talk about it, you say that, oh, they have done it more than. So you see clearly that
That's why we voted them out 8 years ago.
Exactly. So you come and change that. So the NDC is speaking more to the issues as compared to
the NPP.
So
Ms. Darko, quickly in 30 seconds, your views on on how this can bode well for or against. I mean, the narrative has changed now. The NPP is drawing a lot of similarities to the Republican Party and the elephant. Do you think that is also going to be a factor for them?
Yes, I think
and
so.
And in 30 seconds.
Yes, I think so. My only advice would be that if the MPP seeks to win the next election, they need to develop a more comprehensive communication strategy that will speak to the issues that the average Ghanaian is facing. Because without then, you are just speaking to nobody. You are speaking to people, but you do not really have an audience because they are not listening to you. So that would be my only advice. And yes, if they do not do that, obviously we are going to see the same thing happen. The thing that happened in the US, we're going to see the same thing happen in Ghana.
You think?
Yes.
Miss Carrie, do you think so as well?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, really? And on that note, we'll wrap it up right here. Thank you so much, my incredible guests that joined me, of course. Leading the charge, political marketing strategist, Chris Atadeka. Esquire Karen Esifo Ansah, who is a lawyer of Ghana's courts. And, of course, Ms. Darko, who is a communication and media professional. And giving a lot of their perspective on some of the big trending conversations right here on the show. Thank you for being tuned in to another exciting edition of The Trends. Big thank you to Fair Shares for my lovely hair. And of course, to you for being tuned in. Catch me same time next week, right here on TV3.